Ilia Topuria just won the lightweight belt by knocking out Charles Oliveira in the first round. So in this video, we're going to matchmake Ilia Topuria against literally every UFC lightweight. I do want to say I am aware of Lucas Tracy's video where he puts Ilia Topuria against all the contenders, but in that video, he doesn't go over every single possible opponent like this one. So let's get into it. First up, we have the #1 ranked Arman Tsarukyan taking on Ilia Topuria in a fight that possibly could happen next. And if this fight were to go down, I think Arman would be around plus 150, but I think he would get finished by Ilia at some point in the fight. I'm going to say later. I'm going to say round 3 KO. Ilia just has crazy power, and we've seen Arman rocked on the feet before. So if Arman's takedowns aren't working later in the fight like they are at the beginning, he will get clipped at some point on the feet, and I think Ilia Topuria will sleep him badly. Next up, #2 ranked Charles Oliveira, and unfortunately, we just saw the outcome of this. It would be a round 1 KO. Ilia would knock him out in round 1. We just saw him knock him out in round 1. So if this fight were to somehow get rebooked, which there's no scenario that would happen, Ilia is knocking him out again in round 1. Next up, #3 ranked Justin Gaethje. If he were to fight Ilia Topuria, I believe Gaethje is getting knocked down in round 1 as well. I feel like he's just not defensively sound. He relies a lot on his own durability. And at this point in his career, I think his durability is out the window. I did hear rumors that Gaethje would fight Paddy Pimblett for a #1 contender shot next. So if that fight were to happen, I would actually think Paddy Pimblett wins that one as well. But against Ilia, he stands no chance. Ilia's getting the round 1 knockout. Then #4 ranked lightweight is Max Holloway. This is interesting because Ilia had already fought Max Holloway at featherweight for the featherweight title. So if they were to fight again at lightweight, I think the same outcome happens as when they fought at featherweight. I think Ilia wins by round 3 KO. I think he finds a shot at some point during the fight. You know, at the featherweight fight, Max Holloway was putting up a good performance. I believe he won a round or even 2 rounds against Ilia with just volume striking. But the problem is, like, once you get one big shot landed on you, you can lose the round or the fight could just be over. And I think that would happen again if they were to book a second time against Max Holloway. #5 ranked lightweight is Dustin Poirier. So if he were to go out there in New Orleans and defeat Max Holloway in his retirement fight, if they offered him Ilia next for the title, I don't see why Dustin would turn that down. So this could actually happen if Dustin decides to not retire. So if this happens, I think Dustin's getting knocked out in the second round. Unfortunately speaking, you know, he's a brawler. He has no takedowns to go to. And as long as it stays standing, Ilia's going to have a chance to land the knockout blow. And I think he does it quite early. I'm saying second round, similar to the Justin Gaethje knockout. I think that happened in round 2 when they fought in Utah. I think Dustin Poirier will get slept again. I'm saying round 2. #6 ranked is Dan Hooker. And, you know, Dan Hooker, I love him, okay? He's very durable. He puts on entertaining fights. But the problem with being an entertaining fighter is sometimes you leave yourself there to get hit. And if Ilia lands a shot like Jalen Turner did, you know, Dan Hooker is not coming back from that. He's getting flatlined. So I'm going to say round 1 KO again for Ilia against Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker probably comes in at plus 650, probably gets some fans to bet on him. But Ilia, unfortunately, is sleeping yet another legend in round 1. #7 ranked is Mateusz Gamrot. And, I mean, Mateusz Gamrot, very chinny. He goes to wrestling a lot early and often. He could potentially do that for a couple rounds against Ilia, but he's getting knocked out. I'm saying round 2, but plus 400 is pretty respectable at this point for Mateusz Gamrot against Ilia Topuria. I mean, I'm giving him a slight chance to activate his wrestling and potentially control Ilia, but that's not going to happen for too long. He's not going to get Ludovic Klein. So Ilia's getting the round 2 KO here. #8 ranked is Paddy Pimblett. We just spoke about him. He's probably going to fight Gaethje next for a title eliminator, but if they were to just jump Paddy Pimblett up the rankings for a super fight against Ilia, my prediction in that one would be Ilia wins by round 2 knockout. I mean, Paddy Pimblett just leaves his chin up there to get hit, and Ilia is good at closing the distance, so at some point he's going to find the chin of Paddy. I think in the first round, Paddy is good at staying on the outside with leg kicks. Maybe he goes for some takedowns, but as the fight wanes on, Paddy Pimblett will most likely gas out a little bit, won't be able to back away from the big power shots like he's doing for the whole fight, and Ilia will land the KO blow in round 2. If you're liking the video so far, this is Editor Finn saying I made an exact replica of this video featuring Tom Aspinall and all the current heavyweights he could fight, so make sure you check that one out. #9 ranked is Beneil Dariush. Now, if there's anyone on this list that can defeat Ilia, It's not Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is losing by round 1 KO. Unfortunately, I think you could come in at plus 850. He's insanely chinny. And the only reason he beat Moicano is because he offensively wrestled a guy that is very bad with takedown defense. So Ilia has good takedown defense if this stays standing. Beneil's getting slept in the first round. I'm going to say in the first minute, similar to how Arman slept him. Number 10 ranked is Rafael Fiziev. Now, this is interesting because Fiziev hasn't really shown any chin issues. He did get clipped a couple times by Justin Gaethje, but other than that, he's pretty durable. He's good at avoiding shots, and lately he's been mixing in offensive wrestling. Against Ilia, this is probably like the best on-paper matchup for Ilia for anyone at lightweight, just because of two great strikers going at it. But, you know, unfortunately speaking, Ilia still knocks him out. I'm going to say round 3. You know, I think the first couple rounds could be a feeling out process. Maybe Fiziev gets a little comfortable with entering the pocket, and then when that happens, Ilia is going to land some kind of 7-piece combo, ending with an uppercut, sleeping Rafael Fiziev. Number 11, Renato Moicano, and unfortunately speaking, if you lose to Beneil Dariush by decision, and you also get submitted by Islam in round 1, I mean, there's levels to this game, it seems. So Moicano's getting knocked down round 1. If he can't offensively wrestle and he stays standing, he's getting knocked down round 1. It's as simple as that. Plus 900, I think, is like fair. Against Islam on 1 day's notice, he was about plus 800. So on full camp against Ilia, plus 900, I think is fair. I might even throw like $5 on it. You know, Moicano by sub. But we all know Topuria is knocking this guy out in one. Number 12 ranked is Michael Iron Chandler. And he stands no chance against Topuria, but I do think he can survive at least one round with his little, like, the way he gets into the pocket. He, like, does these weird switch stance steps and throws big overhands. Maybe that can, like, you know, make Topuria back up for at least a round. But eventually that's just not going to work anymore, and Topuria is just going to land the KO blow. Chandler is getting slept in too. Number 13 ranked is Grant Dawson. Now, Grant Dawson, very chinny. As long as this stays standing, he has a chance to get knocked out. But he also has pretty good wrestling. So if they were to fight, he's still getting slept in one. Ilia is sleeping Grant Dawson in one. Unfortunately speaking for Grant Dawson, he has a little bit of a career resurgence after getting knocked out by Bobby Green. But against Ilia, the wrestling is not going to work like he thinks it will, and he's getting slept in one. Number 14 ranked Benoit Saint Denis. He could have a chance, all right? He's a marauder. He moves forward, but the problem is moving forward and not landing takedowns is going to get you slept in round 1 by Ilia. I'm giving him a plus 700s chance. I mean, if you get controlled and dominated by Moicano and TKO'd from a doctor stoppage, Lord knows what Ilia Topuria is going to do to you. Ilia is most likely finding this knockout in the first 2 minutes. Number 15 ranked is Joel Alvarez. Now, the problem with Joel Alvarez is he shows a lot of promise for lightweight. He's extremely long, extremely big, but we've already seen him completely dominated to a TKO loss by Arman Sarukian. So if Ilia just does the same game plan, which is take down Joel Alvarez and land ground and pound, he's getting the same exact outcome as Arman. Round 2, TKO, KO. Ilia's going to be so small compared to this guy if they ever fought, but Joel Alvarez, he moves forward, and he's going to get clipped, and he's going to get taken down, and he's going to get ground and pounded. We're moving on to unranked fighters. First one we're going to speak about is Mauricio Rufy. You know, he's a fighting nerd, undefeated in the UFC, crazy finishes. He's getting slept in too by Ilia Topuria. I'm going to say round 1 is more of a feeling out process. Maybe Rufy lands like that no-look hook that he does, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, or like a spinning wheel kick and a scissor takedown. Round 2, he's getting slept. I feel like he just leaves his chin up there to get hit, and Ilia is going to hit it and knock him out. Another unranked guy is Miktabek Oralbai. You know, he's a very good wrestler, good submission skills, good ground and pound, but when it stays standing, he's always at risk to get KO'd. So I think the first round, Miktabek might have some success with takedowns because he's going to be way bigger than Ilia. But as the fight progresses, Miktabek's cardio is going to fall down a little bit. Ilia is going to start landing 8, 10, 12-piece combinations. And Miktabek will most likely get KO'd in round 2. Another unranked fighter is Chase Hooper. Now, Chase Hooper is known to be a good grappler, but lately he's been showing some good striking as well. You could just say Slava is completely garbage and washed, and that could be a misnomer saying Chase Hooper's a good striker, because the only reason we think that is because he knocked down Slava Claus, and Slava Claus is not good. But with all that being said, Chase Hooper's getting knocked down round 1. If Chase Hooper got knocked down round 1 by Steve Garcia, I mean, Ilia Topuria is going to do him 10 times worse, 10 times dirtier. Another unranked lightweight on a winning streak is Nazim Sadikov. He just had that highlight performance against Nicholas Mata at UFC Baku. And the thing about Nazim Sadikov is he's very powerful and very durable. Another thing, though, is he's willing to entertain firefights. And if you're willing to entertain firefights against a guy like Ilia Topuria, you're getting slept in one. I'm sorry. All right, Nazim doesn't really offensively wrestle as much as he should, and he entertains way too many firefights for me to think that he has a chance against Ilia. Ilia sleeps him in one. Another unranked lightweight that I actually personally love, I think this guy could actually be a champion one day, is Manuel Torres. Very powerful, a lot of finishing capabilities. I believe he's finished every one of his wins by KO or by sub. Very, very well-rounded fighter, but if you're getting slept by Ignacio Bahamondes in one round, you're getting slept by Ilia in one round as well. He just throws a lot with his chin in the air. I think Ilia will download the information and find the finish at some point. You know, Manuel Torres just moves forward, and if you're just going to move forward against Ilia, you're going to get slept. Now I got to reach for different divisions to find an opponent for Ilia. We're talking about Gene Silva. Now, Gene Silva has fought at lightweight and has fought at featherweight. He's currently ranked in the featherweight rankings, but if he were to move to lightweight, I think Ilia still finds the KO. I'm going to say round 3, giving a little more respect to Gene Silva. But Gene Silva fights with way too little volume. So I think in the first 2 rounds, it's going to be a lot, jump fest, a little high fives, a little, maybe some hugs, maybe some daps, something like that. And then maybe the fighting nerds are like, hey, you're down 2-0, time to move forward. And when that happens, he's going to get slept by Ilia, unfortunately speaking. Gene Silva is there to get hit. He does entertain firefights, like I said before, but he's there to get hit. And if you're there to get hit against a guy like Ilia, he's going to find the mark, and I think Ilia sleeps him in 3. Of course, we're going to talk about the potential super fight that's looming maybe next year. Islam Makhachev versus Ilia. Now, if Islam loses to JDM, the next fight to make is obviously Islam versus Ilia. If Islam beats JDM, the next fight to make could still be Ilia versus Islam, because Ilia could become the first ever 3-division weight champ. He'd be featherweight champ, lightweight champ, and welterweight champ. At this point, his resume is already stacked to the point where I don't know how the UFC would deny him this opportunity. So if this were to happen at welterweight or lightweight, I think the same outcome occurs. And that's a round 4 KO for Ilia. I think he gets him out of there in the later rounds. I think the first few rounds, a kind of feeling out process. Islam lands some takedowns. He controls Ilia. And we're like, oh my God, Ilia is not good. He's not good against an offensive wrestler. But as the fight progresses, we've seen Islam against Dustin Poirier entertain long stretches of striking without shooting takedowns. So if he's going to entertain long stretches of striking against Ilia, he's most likely getting slept. I'm actually saying Islam should be the favorite just because of his wrestling upside and the fact that he's been #1 pound for pound for years at this point. But still think Ilia gets him out of there after Islam's cardio falls down a little bit in the later rounds from just repeatedly wrestling. Ilia sleeps him. Now I'm really reaching because I'm going to the PFL for the PFL's current lightweight champ, who's Usman Nurmagomedov. I saw enough in the Paul Hughes fight to think that Ilia knocks this guy out. I'm going to say round 3. Been very good in the PFL, but mainly because of his wrestling. When it comes to his striking, it leaves a lot to be desired. And I think Ilia, if he just avoids the wrestling for 5 rounds, he'll eventually find the mark on Usman and KO him in round 3. I'm reaching even further because now we're talking about the current 1 championship lightweight champion, who's Akbar Abdullayev. Now, the thing about Akbar Abdullayev is he's not really the champ. He was fighting for the lightweight champ, but missed weight and knocked out the current lightweight champ. So I'm not going to put the guy that got knocked out here. I'm going to put the guy that knocked him out, who is Akbar Abdullayev. I believe he's undefeated. I believe almost all of his wins have come by KO. He could fight at featherweight or lightweight, so this could be a good matchup. Ilia's sleeping him in round 1. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, he has... his chin is right there. Like, there's no hiding. There's no tucking the chin. He's just, Akbar Abdullayev, unfortunately speaking, is getting knocked down round 1.